C2 Wrestling, CTD, Snowden, the boys are back. We are chugging along. We are on the road to WrestlePalooza, which we will be live for. So subscribe. If not, you're a coward. Follow us on social medias. If not, you're double the coward. The card is starting to stack up. The returns have happened. The big moments have happened. Matches have been announced. All these big things. SmackDown should be huge. Raw is going to be big again. SmackDown again will be big. NXT's popping off that we're going to get into. I keep seeing all these news, all these rumors, all these shows, all these matches. And I think to myself, it all means nothing until we know how Snowden's doing today.
How is Snowden doing today? Pretty standard day. I had a great pork roll, egg, and cheese earlier. It was delicious. I want to have another one. Outside of that, pretty standard day for myself. More importantly, though, you got to tell the fans about the newest member of C2. I mean, come on, let's hear it.
We do have a new member of C2 Wrestling. He's not here. He's in the other room. He will make his debut sooner rather than later. Won't be during this podcast, but ladies and gentlemen, new to the C2 family, Richie Puffs. I'll put a picture in right here. Officially a father of two. Thank you very much. Tommy Boy, our official mascot. This is like when Mr. Met got Mrs. Met. You know, Tommy Boy's still the OG mascot, but now he's got a sidekick. He's got a little brother. Hopefully, when I look back at this podcast, they're getting along great. I think they will. But I literally brought him home 3 hours ago, maybe,
Yeah.
3.5 hours ago. He is fresh into the family. He is enjoying the love that he's already gotten. And I'm just ready to hit him with some questions. Like Richie, who's walking out the Rumble as the Rumble winner? Richie, who's going to Mania? He better start studying because Tommy's an expert at this point.
Yeah, Tommy's an expert. I mean, he's been along for a lot of the rides of these videos. So Tommy knows his stuff. Richie, he's got to get it together either sooner than later. But you mentioned asking Richie some questions. I told you earlier before this podcast, I want to pose a question to you. Now, this regards WrestlePalooza. WrestlePalooza is being built up. Some matches are made official. Io versus Stephanie made official. No contract signing, but that's okay. Looks like we're getting, if it's not official already, Usos versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. We got the other tag match, mixed tag match, CM Punk, AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and then Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. It's a simple question. We probably would have gotten into it even if I didn't pose it this way. What do you have main event? And
Uh,
why?
I would have first things first. The Usos match is official. They did put that out there,
Okay. I thought so. Kind of
so
was drawing
that
a blank on it,
that
but I
is
figured.
official. That to me probably opens the show.
Interesting. Okay.
Like maybe not opens the show, but that's like the first or second match.
Sure.
I think you got to have CM Punk and AJ Lee against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch main event, and here's why for a few reasons. One, people don't bitch. That's
That's capital one.
that is number one. Like
Credit
easiest
card.
way, yeah, easiest way to avoid just loud complaints. Just have it main event. Two, this story does involve the world title. And the
Mm-hmm.
story's nucleus is the World Heavyweight Championship and CM Punk's chase for the World Heavyweight Championship. So if we're going to have a show where now I know there's rumors Cody could be back and Triple H mentioned that Cody would be at WrestlePalooza. Now, does he face Drew there? I don't know. We still have to get to SmackDown and another SmackDown.
It is official that Cody's going to be at WrestlePalooza,
Oh,
but
they did officially say that.
Triple H said that in
Yes.
the interview. You know, he made it official that Cody Rhodes will, in fact, be there. I just heard something bang. I was like, what the fuck was that?
So if you're going to have a world championship a part of a card, it should probably be the main event. And I know John Cena versus Brock Lesnar is this massive matchup, but it has zero stakes. It has zero, like, it is simply just Brock attack John, and they're facing for probably one last time. Now, if this had some sort of stipulation, something to go along with it, I would understand it more. On top of it, furthermore, as someone would use to try to extend their paper in college, Brock has really not main evented a lot, since that little stretch after dropping the title to Roman, he really wasn't every show he had to main event. Even when he was facing Cody, he wasn't the main event. And that's still fine. It's Brock Lesnar on the card. He's a marquee name. It justifies their selling of two main events, three main events, whatever. He doesn't have to go on last. Brock Lesnar being on the card is strong enough as it is. Do I think Punk and AJ Lee against Rollins and Becky will main event? I think it might be 50-50. But
Mhm.
if I had to put one on, I would put Punk and AJ's tag match as the main event, and I would put Brock Cena as the co-main event, just like they did with Logan and Cena. Marquee match, big moment, does not need to go on last though.
Yeah, I can see an argument for both, of course. It can float either way. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso reunite versus the Bronsons. That does scream open the show type tag match. In a world where there's two kind of co-main events, you would typically argue that one of them opens, whether it be Cena and Brock or the CM Punk AJ tag, and the other closes. But they do tend to run these co-main events back to back to close the show a lot lately. So I can very well see them even doing that. Say John Cena and Brock go, and then it's CM Punk AJ versus Seth and Becky to close the show. Now, I completely agree with what you said about there being no stakes in John Cena. No stakes. It's a
There's no
shame.
stakes in you either,
It's no.
pal.
I know. I know. I know. That's why it upset me to say that. I know. John Cena though, Brock Lesnar, no stakes, but that is the truth. There is really no stakes to it. It's just kind of the return match for Brock. John Cena's moving along in this retirement tour. Now, AJ, obviously, electric return, big return, the biggest return for the women ever, probably of all time, and will stay that way. I can't imagine there being another women's return that's going to be that big ever. Rhea would have to leave and then take 10 plus years to return. Like I don't think we're ever going to kind of get this moment again. So almost how do you not make it the main event? You know, I think the side of the argument, again, no one's going to bitch if AJ and Punk main event. It does involve the world title. It does involve CM Punk. Is Brock Lesnar's return match bigger? There's an argument for it, I guess. I think the demand for AJ is unbelievable. It's AJ Lee, don't get me wrong. But I think the demand for Brock, alongside the questioning of Brock, kind of can slate it for a main event, to really sell the tickets on paper. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, killer match. That would sell tickets. Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee, fuck it, that would sell tickets too. Them all combined sells tickets. But the main event of WrestlePalooza on ESPN, John Cena versus the returning Brock Lesnar, that's going to get more casual, non-casual heads to tune in than AJ Lee potentially. Maybe there's those old fans that stopped watching with AJ Lee, and now she's back, and they want to see her again. If it were up to me, I do agree. By the way, if I didn't already say it directly, I do think the tag match should main event. I don't quite know if they're going to pull the trigger on it, but I think they should almost more just for the fan service moment of it. Brock versus Cena, I think it's going to be a killer match, honestly. Cena that showed out with Logan. I don't think this match is going to go forever. It's a Brock match, but this might be another underrated Brock, underrated Cena match. We don't know what's really going to happen quite yet. I don't think Brock Lesnar opens the show in his return match. Co-main event is where I'm slating it. But I'm indifferent. I can see it going either way. But man, the hate that's going to go their way if they have Brock main event over AJ is going to be loud.
See, it is kind of titled Brock's return match, but it's like, if what wasn't going on, the elephant in the room,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be like this is Brock's return match, because for the last 3, 4 years, he would go away for a while, make a big return, have a match, maybe have another match, go away for a while, make a big return, have a match, have another match, whatever. It's not like Brock was gone for 5 plus years at this point. It really,
Mhm.
I mean, what, it was a year and a half ago that he
Two
was,
years maybe. When did him and Cody face? Was that SummerSlam?
well, he got pulled from the Rumble.
Hmm.
That's when he got pulled. The Rumble for going into Mania 40.
Yeah, and he
Because
didn't have
remember, it was the
his.
Gunther
Yeah,
tease.
his last match prior to that was the Cody match, right?
Yes, unless he had,
I don't even know if he had an appearance in between Cody and that
yeah,
pulled Rumble spot, but yeah,
yeah. So, in that ballpark, um, so it's not like he was gone for that long. You know what I mean? And like
no.
when he left, like when he last left, like he was still around. He was still like, it wasn't like he was having that short blip with Omos. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he was still
Yeah,
like pretty much in the mix pretty strongly, and like was clearly about to get a big WrestleMania match against Gunther or something. So I think if it was like a little bit more time, again, all the other stuff aside, if it was a little bit more time, I think it would be stronger in the, oh, it's his return match, not, oh, it's his return match. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
get you get what I'm saying. I think if you're WWE, Brock Lesnar being on the card, whether he's on in the first second or on in the last second, that's the selling point in itself. Brock Lesnar's name is on
yep.
the marquee. That will sell the tickets for Brock. I don't think there's any Brock fans that are going to be like, I love Brock. I want to watch for Brock, but if he's not the main event, I'm not watching.
Yeah, I agree. You kind of beat me to the punch there. That Brock being on the card as a whole helps sell the tickets. Booking him as the main event, the big main event of WrestlePalooza. Okay, maybe it turns a couple more heads, but again, Brock being on the card in general helps sell the show, regardless of what people want to think or say. It just does. Brock, yeah, he wasn't gone for too long. He was gone for a longer amount of time than usual, though. If nothing happened, he would have had a Rumble match. He would have had a Mania match, maybe at SummerSlam. Maybe he would have had 5 or 6 matches in between then and now. So it would have really never been like he had left. SummerSlam return is electric. AJ's return is electric. Again, it is kind of tomato tomato between the two. I can see a world for both. I just can't deny the fact that, it's still Brock Lesnar. It's still former UFC champion, former WWE champion. It's now on ESPN. If anybody's got a little bit of an affiliation in like the sports brand of ESPN, it's Brock Lesnar. Like I can see, and TKO, I can see wanting to put Brock on in the main event. Like maybe it's their call. Who really knows? They've made some questionable decisions thus far. I don't think it would really be all that questionable, to be honest. I do think, again, the match that the fans really want to main event would be AJ Punk. Um, but I can see it going either way. I'm not going to be disappointed regardless, but I really think there's going to be so much hate going WWE's way if they choose Brock to main event this show. Cena goes over Brock, I imagine, too. So it's not even like, I mean, I guess you never know with Brock Lesnar, his return match. Maybe they want to give him the win, but Cena just got the win over Logan. Maybe they want to run him out with a couple wins in his retirement tour. Is the ending of that match going to be as electric as any potential ending of the mixed tag match?
Yeah, I mean, look, they could set up a rematch for Crown Jewel or something.
Ugh,
I would be shocked if Brock wasn't in Saudi. So
yeah.
I'm not saying this is just going to be the one off, the one match that we get, but when you think long term, the finish of the mixed tag has way more implications on the next week and the next week and the next week than the finish of Brock versus Cena. This could just be, all right, match is done. We're on to the next. Becky, AJ, that's clearly going to be a story going forward. Punk, Rollins, that's clearly going to be a story going forward. The two of them and the two of them, clearly going to be a story going forward. So I think long term, this match has, you know, the ending of the show that has you, oh, well, now I got to tune into Monday Night Raw, whatever. I don't know if Brock Cena's ending. I mean, look, it could. I'm not saying it
Hmm.
won't, but from logically speaking, I can't imagine it does, especially if fucking Brock's gonna win. I doubt people will be quite happy that that main events and Brock wins and they just set up another Brock Cena match, whatever. But the card pretty much it probably is done unless they want to add a sixth match.
Hmm.
You're probably set with your five, and it's kind of funny because Crown Jewel, not Crown Jewel, what am I fucking saying? Clash in
Clash
Paris. It was a little bit easier to kind of figure out the structure of the card. Like if we knew the tag match
ahead of time.
beforehand, we would have been able to lay out those picks easily. This card, I mean, look, it is fucking stacked. I could see a lot of different combinations that happen. Hell, I could see Brock Lesnar straight up pulling what he did at Mania. Hey, if I'm not last, you're putting me on first, and I'm getting the fuck out of here. Like
Yeah.
that would not surprise me at all. Him being the co-main wouldn't surprise me. Him being the main event wouldn't surprise me. Him being in the fucking middle of the show and then putting the women's title match in between Brock Cena and the mixed tag, like that wouldn't surprise me. I don't think there's really any combination of this card that would surprise me as long as it has either Brock and Cena or the mixed tag in the main event. If the other three matches were the main, that would be the shock.
Yeah, that would be the shock. I do think there is possibility they add a sixth match. Two tag matches already. Tag titles aren't making the card. SmackDown titles, they made the card last time, not a big deal. I don't even know if they have Raw tag titles anymore, so they're not making the card either. If they're going to add a sixth match, I have a match in mind already, but what would be the sixth match they should add?
Uh, it's a great question. You got to think logically. SmackDown already has Tiffy versus Jade, so you're
Hmm.
not going to go that route.
Don't need to either.
You don't need to, but like just thinking like you're immediately going to look
Potentials.
at you're immediately going to look at title matches.
Hmm.
The Raw tag titles, if I'm being honest, there is a better chance the NXT tag titles are defended at WrestlePalooza than the Raw tag titles.
Yeah,
And
literally.
I'm saying that as a fucking challenge for them to put those
They
titles on.
might fucking defend the TNA tag titles at WrestlePalooza
Literally.
before the Raw tag titles. Yeah.
Literally. Like I would love to eat my words, but there's a better fucking chance any
Hmm.
other tag title gets put on than the fucking Raw tag title. So that is just forget about it. The women's intercontinental titles obviously in the mixed tag. So title match wise, the US title, Sami Zayn is talking about this open challenge. You could potentially do a Sami open challenge on there, which would be fire, but I don't
Hmm.
think it would happen.
Agreed.
Then you swing to the Intercontinental Championship. Dom's going for the AAA title on Friday tomorrow, so doubt that gets put in there quickly. I don't know. There's not that many stories as we run through it. So the question was, what would I put on? Not what do I
Yeah.
think would be put on?
What would you put on? What would be your sixth match to this card?
Because I'll tell you what I think would get added.
Okay, what's that?
What I think would get added would be the women's tag titles. I know it would be another tag match, but
Sure.
it's like the only story that's like if they threw it on this card, I guess I'd get it. If
Mm,
I could,
they have
you
a
know,
story going? Like,
it's been going for a few weeks. If I perfect world, I wouldn't be running Drew Orton on SmackDown tomorrow. I would have Drew Orton, or maybe you have a false finish or some nonsense happens, ends in a DQ or whatever. I would throw Drew Orton on this card and just make it like this is Netflix debut era level. We're on
hmm.
ESPN. You've got Brock back. You've got AJ back. Cody's going to be there. Cena's wrestling. We're getting fucking Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre as well. So, the Usos are back together. That to me would be like the ultimate stamp of this card is fucking stacked.
Yeah, I do think, again, we've been big on the five match cards, Six, not bad. I'm not going to hate on it. Clash in Paris ran a little long, in my opinion, but still, it was a great card. I'm not going to hate on it. Um, I think, you look at Clash in Paris and some great matches in that card, some heavy hitters. And, then there's kind of the not title feud Donnie Brooke match. Donnie versus Brooke, Sheamus versus Rusev, I think you slot in Damian Priest and Aleister Black and you
Mm,
give them their send off and they each kind
yeah.
of can have a good moment. You can help kind of build Aleister Black to maybe potentially be the guy to sooner or later take that US title off Sami Zayn. I think that would be great. The only other alternative I can really think of that really would, I don't even want to say fit the show, but again, WrestlePalooza, first time event, ESPN, big event. You kind of want to create a moment, do something special. You want to get people that are over. Alistair and Damian are over, but you can run back Dominic and AJ. And maybe you throw a gimmick on it. Maybe you put them in a cage or you hang the belt from the top of the ring. Put something special in the air. And also, first ESPN show, it's not official yet, but you got Dom walking out to the ring with the IC and the Mega Championship. I mean, it's kind of big for the cross promotion of AAA as well. I can see them maybe wanting to get that moment across, but I'm not too sure. I just do feel like they're going to slot in a sixth match. I am a little worried that it's going to happen last minute, like the tag title match did at Clash in Paris, though.
Yeah, I don't know why I just completely
Blanked.
forgot about Priest and Aleister Black.
Yeah,
That
should have
probably,
remembered.
yeah, I definitely should have. Now, if you told me it main events the SmackDown the day before, I wouldn't be shocked. They're obviously
Sure.
not finished with how the match went. There clearly is going to be at least one more match. But I would like it, if this were before Clash in Paris, I would say, oh no, I don't want that to happen because I want this match to get 20 minutes. And
Yeah,
if they put a six match on, they might cut its time. But Clash in Paris, I
20
mean,
plus minute matches.
there was some plenty like those matches had meat, and the ones that we didn't think would be that long, Becky, Nikki, and the SmackDown tag titles got almost 15 minutes each.
Yeah, long
So
enough.
yeah, exactly. Like, which if you tell me Priest and Black at 15 minutes in a show where there's no commercial breaks, like I'd be quite happy. I think a lot can be accomplished in 15 minutes. So
Yeah.
pre-Clash in Paris, I'd be like, oh no, I'd rather it be on the SmackDown and it gets time, just like Sammy versus Solo, blah blah blah. Post Clash in Paris, I'm like, all right, well, if you're gonna give them time, even if they're six, yeah, sign me up for it.
Yeah, Cena Logan as well. Clash in Paris got a lot of time, and we didn't really expect it to because it's a toned down Cena match in a way, and it ended up being realistically one of the matches of the year. So maybe it's contradictory to say the same thing about Cena Brock, but Brock's a little different than Logan. I don't expect Brock Cena to be a 25-minute match. So adding a six match, maybe that Cena Brock match is a little bit shorter than Cena's last match, gives you a couple more minutes to do something else there. I think you want to get your biggest names on this card. You want your CM Punks, your Seths, you want your Cody Rhodes and your John Cena's and your Brock Lesnar's, and then who's kind of the steps under that? The Usos, the Bronson Reeds, and the Braun Breakers of the world, and then who's next? Who's next in line? AJ Styles, I get it, is almost done, but Dominic is being built up. Aleister Black maybe has some potential. Drew versus Orton, obviously. Orton's a legend. Drew is one of the biggest stars they got going right now. That's a great fit as well. That's a match that's already happened, though, at least at Saturday night's main event. So I don't know if that would fit the bill. And it's on SmackDown. But women's tag titles, that feud, I just don't even really view it as like a feud. Like it hasn't stuck to me yet. Like, I don't know. If that was in GM mode or something, it hasn't fit in the rivalry slot yet. I keep booking it, but it hasn't gotten into the slot yet. I don't know. It just doesn't quite have the taste that Alistair versus Damian does, or even if they run back Styles versus Dom. Either of those two feuds as well, it would be the send off match for both of those. Um, and then there's a couple things they could do after the fact. Maybe Styles does win the title, and they got a whole new route to go there. Maybe we see Judgment Day fall out if they do throw Dom on the card. Alistair gets a big win, and then he's again propelled up. I think there's a couple ways to add one more match to this card and excel it.
I have a question for you in regards to WrestlePalooza, and it's a bit of a left turn, but since we're on the topic of the PLE, and I promise we'll get into talking about the big moves of NXT in a moment. But I was actually thinking about something with WrestlePalooza during my indoor walk yesterday on my Apple Watch as I was on the treadmill. thinking about all things wrestling, of course, and I was thinking about the potential main event of the mixed tag match. We had CM Punk loving the thought of putting his hands on Becky Lynch, but said he would never stoop to that level.
Mhm.
Then we had Seth Rollins getting, side by side with AJ Lee, getting frustrated, showing he would not lay his hands on her, but never said it, never, put it into words. Do we see one of the guys do something to? I'm not saying Seth's going to curb stomp AJ, but hell, if you wanted a crazy ending, I'm going to tip my pick here. I have a kind of gut feeling AJ and Punk are going to win,
Mhm.
but I have a gut feeling the show is going to end with where I could see CM Punk handcuffed to the ropes. AJ Lee is getting slapped around by Becky Lynch, and maybe Becky does a curb stomp to AJ Lee as they taunt Punk. I just see something where this show ends where they just really hammer it home how much of heels they are. And I wonder if Seth, maybe inadvertently, maybe on purpose, putting his hands on AJ Lee happens.
You know, if I were booking it, I don't know who I'd quite have win. I do see a world like you're saying, AJ and Punk win, and after the match, Punk is handcuffed to the rope. It's a tale as old as time in wrestling, you know. I can see that happening. But if I were booking it, Seth Rollins curb stomps the fuck out of AJ Lee. I'm talking like put her down. I think that would be the next level to this feud for both Punk and Rollins and AJ and Becky. If Rollins does that to AJ, tags Becky, ref wasn't looking, Becky comes in, gets the pin, whatever. That, maybe we don't get the big moment. AJ Lee won her first match back, blah, blah, blah. The babyface hype moment that everybody wants. It's really going to double down the babyface level and hype of AJ Lee. People are going to be itching for her to get her lick back at not only Becky, but Seth, itching for her to take that IC title off of Becky. And then Punk Rollins, Punk's going to want to kill the guy. Punk is never going to lay hands on Becky. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Punk's not that type of guy. It's not in his character. It's never going to happen. Punk versus Rollins in a Hell in a Cell, though, I mean, that could happen. If that's like the story you want to do, if you want to get there one day, you can do it by doing this. I want ESPN WrestlePalooza. I want to walk out of that show with the holy shit moment, the oh my God, that just happened moment. And I think it happens with Seth doing that. Either they win the match by it, or it's after the match and Punk is handcuffed and he can't stop it from happening and he watches it happen. I want to walk away going, oh my God. And that's how they do it.
My fear is they're on ESPN, Disney, and they're like, "Oh, we can't do that because we're gonna get backlash
Dude,
and all this." It's a pro wrestling, bro. We all
oh, dude.
know Seth Rollins is a great guy. We all know Becky is a great person. We all know Punk and AJ are great people. It's a TV show. They're not
Yeah.
promoting, like it is no different than anything else. It's no different than any movie, you name it. That's my fear is we could get this crazy moment and we don't because they're like, oh, might upset the mouse. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, I agree. ESPN Disney, I don't expect there to be kendo sticks on Peelies anymore. They're going to get those big inflatable baseball bats now, that you get at games and shit. I 100% agree with that. ESPN, you okay?
Uh,
What?
I don't know if you want to hear this.
Is it
Breaking
wrestling
news.
related?
It is wrestling related.
Okay. Oh, God.
Breaking news. 2027.
Is WrestleMania going to fucking Saudi? Get the fuck out of here. Is it the greatest WrestleMania? It better not. You're kidding me.
I wish I was joking.
Send me the link.
I had
You're
to double
kidding me.
check that it did not say Wrestle Oops and said Wrestle Ops. Oh
That is a
man,
joke.
just well, we got something to talk about now.
Yeah, we got something to talk about now. We're going to transition off of Seth Rollins curb stomping the shit out of AJ Lee into us curb stomping the shit out of fucking TKO for that move. Listen, make your money. I get it. Saudi is probably paying a fake number worth of dollars for that event. If there's ever a PLE, a WrestleMania, I should say, to go back to one night, maybe that's the one. You know, maybe they don't need to pull a 2 day event. To move 42 to Vegas and then go next year in Saudi after they're getting a Rumble too, before London gets a WrestleMania. Come on. What a fucking joke.
That shit better start 6 p.m. EST. I
Yeah,
don't give a
it's not
fuck if
gonna.
it is fucking if it's
It's gonna be a 1 p.m.
seven
show.
7 a.m. over there. I don't know what the fucking time change is, but man, that fucking sucks.
The Saudi shows usually start at 1 p.m., I think. Maybe
Yeah.
even noon Eastern time. I'm not really too
I think the
sure.
pre-shows are normally at noon, right? And they're like at 1 or 2.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Man, that is listen, there was rumors rumbling about it for a while. I didn't want any event really going down this way. I didn't want them tagging any event as the greatest WrestleMania either. I hated the greatest Royal Rumble. You can't do that garbage. It ruins the event. WrestleMania 40 fucking 3 in Saudi Arabia. I mean, maybe they hold off on the Sammy Rumble win till the following Rumble and he gets the title match in Saudi. You know,
That's a great point. Yeah.
maybe that's their long-term plan. We've been booking the Sammy Rumble win for a while now, but just why? I'm not going to sit here and say there hasn't been like good matches in Saudi and whatnot. The competitors are still putting on the best show they can. That crowd is different. The environment is different. The aura, I fucking hate that word. I didn't even want to say it. I tried to stop myself there, but it's different. It's just not going to hit like a regular WrestleMania.
My biggest thing, and we've talked about this at nausea. My biggest thing, and yes, it's selfish. I live in the Eastern time zone. I am used to all shows pretty much being catered around the Eastern time zone, especially
Mm-hmm.
WWE. They try as best as they can to make it as easy for the Eastern time zone. A WrestleMania that starts at like 1 p.m. This like this is like if you said, "Yeah, we're going to start just doing football. It's no longer going to be on Sundays. It's going to be on Tuesdays." I'm going to be like, "Oh,
The Super Bowl at 1 p.m.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like the Super Bowl in the
Literally, it's the Super
afternoon.
Bowl at
Like,
1 p.m.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
no, no, it's a nighttime. It is like schedule your weekend around it,
Mm-hmm.
order dinner,
Yeah.
everyone gets together. So when
Yeah.
the show ends, it's like that nighttime feeling of, oh my God, the show is over. You're debriefing. You're like, fuck, I don't want to go to bed because I'm like, I want to rewatch certain matches, whatever. Now it's gonna be like, oh, the show is over. Time to watch the fucking 6 p.m. news or whatever. Fucking there's plenty of
Literally.
time.
You know, I've there's places where I would prefer Romania over some others. You know, I don't think they needed to run back Vegas this year. They were never going to sell me on a Minnesota WrestleMania, if I'm being honest. But I will take anywhere over Saudi. And I already mentioned it, but it is actually baffling to me. And I get it. It's all for the money.
It's all
If
about
you
the money.
if you ain't talking money, then you're talking don't matter. I get it. But to go to Saudi for WrestleMania before London is disrespectful to the European fans, to be honest, especially after this run of European tours over the last couple of years that have been electric. Clash in Paris, electric. Money in the Bank was in Canada. You know, like there's all these other countries are getting all the shows outside of WrestleMania.
London or Toronto should have gotten a Mania before.
Absolutely. That's why I
Yeah.
mentioned the Canada
Yeah.
Money in the Bank. Because
I would
yes,
have
yep.
completely understood if they did a fucking run of overseas manias. I would
Mm-hmm.
have been like, yeah, I get it. Like
Yeah. Yep.
they did,
A
doubled up
Mania
on Vegas.
in London breaks the whatever record it is, you know, like
Yeah.
undoubtedly.
Especially you had Cena. they're being like, we need a Mania here. You
Hmm.
guys deserve it. Clearly, the last few years, they have proven time zones are not the worry.
Hmm.
They don't care. They will put shows at whatever time because they know people will watch no matter what. This is another prime example. We're going to get the Rumble at fucking 1 p.m. They don't care. We'll get
Yeah,
Raw
I'll
at
be
3
watching. I'll be
p.m.
there. Yeah.
We'll be watching. We'll be tuned in. Doing all of this and not look, the following year better be in the UK. Like
Yeah.
I'm practically like I used to be against the UK Mania because I'm like I don't want it in the afternoon. You know, it
Hmm.
sucks for them,
Hmm.
but I'm selfish. Now I'm ready for war with the Brits. Like
Yeah.
that 50% of me that's, in my blood, ready to fight with them.
Yeah.
They fucking deserve it.
My worry too. Give me a Saudi event that they haven't asked for fucking Yokozuna back or something. Like are they going to pull all the stops for all the legends? Is it going to be that kind of WrestleMania? Are we really going to get a WrestleMania 40 remake or 41 maybe had some not great opinions, but at least it was current wrestlers and not Goldberg's coming back and all this other crazy shit. Saudi tends to get what they want. Are they going to want the Brock title win or something?
The
Who
Brock
knows where
retirement
the
match.
Brock retirement match? Who knows where? I a long time ago did predict that if Mania did end up in Minnesota, that would be Brock's retirement for obvious reasons. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, and I don't think Brock's got a lot left in the tank. So you never know. But man, it's just disappointing. Who knows what storylines are going to be come that time? We can have a whole new crop of talent. Obafemi's going to be called up, and all. Who knows what's going to be going on? Doesn't fucking matter. Shouldn't be in Saudi.
Yeah, so that's what? That's a year and a half calendar time. Like a year and a half like
Yeah.
on our calendar roughly.
Yep.
That may as well be 10 years in wrestling timeline. Like literally the entire roster could be fucking changed in a year and a half. So much could be different. You might have guys multiple time champions by then. You could have someone who's like a fucking 3 year reigning champion at that point. Like
Yeah.
who knows where we're at. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like get too up in arms, but I'm not a fan of it. I'm sure the pyro will be insane. I guess that's cool at
Yeah.
least. The
Yeah.
pyro budget will be fucking they're when they go through the fucking checkbook and they're doing everything. It's gonna be
Mhm.
pyro. There's just gonna be a little infinity symbol. They're not even gonna
Yeah.
put any money next to it, just a little infinity symbol. All the
You
pyro
know,
you want.
you got to think about it too, where this was actually a small discussion we had on Twitter not long ago about Saudi and the women wrestling in Saudi. And listen, WWE is doing what they can to get better women's rights over there. Realistically, it is kind of crazy when you really think about it that the women have wrestled over there, and now it's normalized than that they do. Back when that was
They
first happening, that was like
they were
crazy.
remember when they first started, they had to like ask for Renee to be on commentary.
Yep.
Then their last PLE, Night of Champions, was 50% women.
Yep. Yep. And the attires for the women have changed. Don't get me wrong, and they're never going to change from what they are now. It's never going to get to what they would normally wear. And not that it's the biggest deal, but are we going to get the extent of the women's wrestling that we could if it wasn't in Saudi? I don't know. There is kind of a question mark there. I understand that they're letting it happen over there, the Saudi government, I guess, but I don't think they're calling WWE going, we want the Rhea match. They're calling WWE for the Brock match and the Cena match and this match and whatever. WWE is, of course, going to implement whatever they implement. We're going to get storylines and whatnot, but I don't know. It just makes me think on all fronts of how much lesser it could be. Some of the Saudi shows have had good matches again. Don't get me wrong. There's been some good matches. There is not a single Saudi show that I look back on as like a favorite PLE of mine or like, wow, it was super memorable or that beats this show. I just can't go back and think of
The
one.
the
I can think of
main
matches,
yeah,
moments.
yeah, I think of moments as well. I was gonna say I think of the Jimmy J, you know, taking out Roman moment. That was I think it
And
was
guess
yeah,
that shouldn't have happened in Saudi, if we're being honest. That would have been way
exactly.
more electric elsewhere.
1,000,000%. Uh, a funny question, and I'm like
Okay.
half being serious, half not. Do you think all of them know Hogan's dead?
It's probably like 49-51. You know,
Like
you know,
whoever requested like Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna, like if that was
yeah,
one
yeah,
person,
yeah.
no shot they know.
No, no shot. It's probably like 49-51. It really is like, and that's from WWE telling 49% of them, you know? Yeah. Uh, it's a crazy world over there, a different world, you know. They got a lot of money. You know, my biggest fear is it won't be the last one, you know.
It definitely will not be. I mean, and there ain't gonna be anything that's gonna fucking stop them because this last one
Stop them because
going
this
on.
last one going on.
What the hell was that?
I don't have my AirPods on. My AirPods just connected, and now my coming through my headphone. What the fuck?
I hear you in your mic.
There we go. Okay, now I'm back. I'm back here. It's good to go. Weird.
That was so weird.
My AirPods were all the way on the other side of my room, and they just connected.
That was so, I
Odd.
just
Okay.
heard myself echo.
Yeah, really odd.
Very odd. Do you want me
I
to
don't
cut
even know what
that?
you said. No, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'll leave it in. I said, I said, I said, I said something.
Yo!
I said this last PLE. I was talking about if they knew Hogan's gone. No idea. Not a clue. Oh well, this is the
Mm,
beauty of C2 wrestling.
that's the beauty of C2 Wrestling. We keep it real here. Sometimes in real life, people forget things. It
Yeah.
happens, you know?
Sometimes electronics just completely fuck you over, and we're just gonna roll with it because
We're just
oh,
going to roll with it.
who gives a
Yep.
fuck?
Who
You're
gives a
watching
fuck?
at this
Not a
point.
big deal.
If you're watching at this point, there's no way you give a fuck about that. So,
Yeah.
and if you
Yeah.
do, you're a coward.
Big time coward. You know, we're going on a little tangent there about WrestleMania 2027 in Saudi Arabia. Breaking that might be one of the first like breaking news events to happen
Oh, I
during
just
our
remembered.
podcast. Okay, let's hear
If they didn't pull the plug
it.
on their last event in Saudi Arabia, there's nothing that will stop this mania from happening. That's
There's
all I have to
nothing.
say. That's all
There's
I have to
nothing that will stop it from happening. Again, maybe they trim it down to a 1 day event, long event. Who knows? You know, the problem is too Saturday, Sunday, you got Raw on Monday. I mean, they could just do it in Saudi like they did last time. You know, that Monday night Raw, Friday night SmackDown probably just hails from Saudi as well. But I don't know. It is what it is. Sucks. It honestly sucks.
I mean, look,
But
we're gonna fucking watch either way, but
yeah, we're gonna watch either
just
way.
gotta
I will be
bitch a
there.
little bit.
I 1 p.m. I will be there, unfortunately. But yeah, we're gonna be
Well,
watching.
you won't
Not
be
there.
there.
Yeah, trust me. Not there. But you know, maybe like right here. Um, Crazy though. But regardless, there was a couple other things we did want to talk about briefly. We went over a little bit about WrestlePalooza, the breaking news. We did want to talk about NXT. Last night's NXT was pretty electric, and they have a homecoming episode next week. A lot of things to look forward to. We've always been fans of NXT. You know, they had some dark days in the 2.0 era, and they've recovered. Their talent down there is great. The women's roster is great. The men's division in certain spots can use some help. Yes, sure. We've never looked at NXT as a demotion. NXT for a long time now has been brand number 3. And it's exactly that. A lot of not only returns, re-debuts, we'll even call it down in NXT, but I want to talk about my most favorite one real quick. I fucking love that Tyler Breeze is back. I think that's incredible.
Shame. Shame, shame, shame. That fucking music hits and you're silent. Fuck you.
Literally, you're a fucking coward. If you didn't get up and pop for that and sing along, you're a coward.
Is it my eyes
Eyes
when you
when
look at me? They are so
they're so
gorgeous.
gorgeous.
They'll
They'll
set you
set you
free.
free.
Dude,
It is.
bop of all bops.
That is a Bob of all Bob. That's an absolute banger. I love that they went back to OG NXT Tyler Breeze. NXT has needed male talent. That is NXT talent. You know, it's not DIY coming back down to NXT, which I love too. Don't get me wrong. I love Carmelo repairing with Trick Williams. I think that's great. And I hope that bleeds into SmackDown. I hope Trick Williams loses this TNA title at Bound for Glory and goes on to come up with Carmelo. Maybe they get added to the tag division. Carmelo replaces The Miz with Trick Williams. But Tyler Breeze down in NXT, he's a guy that I thought was so good for so long, such a great character, never really got the time of day on the main roster, went back to NXT, had a small run there. He can help that division so much. He is the guy that should be an NXT vet for a while. I want him winning the North American title one day. He might be the guy to take the title off of Ethan Page, and you call Ethan Page up. Hell, I think Tyler Breeze maybe isn't the guy to beat Oba Femi, but I think he's a guy that you can put the NXT title on. I think he's a great high-tier enhancement talent for the NXT developmental.
Yeah, there's a good chance this is a bit of a one-off. I mean, I know he's a writer for NXT. He
Yeah,
works for them. So this very well could be a one-off. It very well could be he slides into that Sean Spears role where he is
correct.
a veteran helping the younger talent learn, helping elevate them, gets the Javon Evans feud, whatever. Either way, I'm happy. I'm very excited to see him back in the ring. I would fucking love a Fashion Files again
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
Fandango, aka JDC. If we got one last Fashion Files, that would be literally amazing. But that to me, that's the beauty of NXT, where okay, it happened. I'm not shocked that it happened. But if you told me predict who's going to come out and challenge Ethan Page, it's not one of the first few names I think of. I would have
Mm-hmm.
been like, "Oh wow, okay." Like it was a genuine surprise. It genuinely like did not see that coming, and I'm glad it's happening. I love Tyler Breeze. Whether
Love.
it's just this one match, whether it's just he's going to mix in here or there, I'm happy. I love NXT Homecoming, what they're doing. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's like the perfect mix of past and present.
Yep.
Um, there's even other names that they could have gotten in the mix that, maybe wouldn't fit as well. But we go through some of the names like Rhea showing up. Great. She's involved on Raw, but she's not in this like major story right now where she
Sure.
needs to be, you can't have her in. Stephanie, yeah, she's going for the title, but hasn't really been on the fucking show. Yeah, have her come back, get some
User.
promo. Yeah, exactly. Tiffy, been the champ. Hasn't really been wrestling, defending the title on Friday. Great. Yeah, user. That's great. DIY, starting to fade from the tag team division. Yeah, use him. Great. Carmelo, like starting to build more steam, but not so much to where this could, hinder him. Yeah, use him. Great. I love everything they're doing
Mm-hmm.
for this NXT homecoming. I think it's like a Shawn Michaels masterclass.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It makes next week NXT must see. I don't want to miss next week's show. I'm going to
I'll
tune
miss
in.
it, but yeah.
I'm going to tune in for the homecoming, for the returns. I want to see these matchups. I think it's great. I mentioned Carmelo again. There's just so much affiliation with Trick Williams, a guy who, don't get me wrong, has always been good, but like kind of wasn't supposed to be the guy he is. Trick Williams was the henchman, and he made it up there himself. You don't even have to, but I do see a world where they, again, can just pair him with Carmelo again, and they have a good little tag team duo running for a while. It helps them both kind of get some traction on the main roster. Carmelo maybe gets a tag title run. I can see Carmelo breaking off the Miz and going mid card for the U.S. title, anyways. So I think Carmelo has good trajectory. But again, you have an opportunity. Why not use these people? I don't think going down to NXT is a demotion at all. These might be homecoming one offs, but again, the talent not being used, fuck it. Why not give Otis and Tozawa an NXT run for a little bit? Like the talent that is maybe pops up on Raw, but is really not getting the shine on the show. Why not send that talent down for a little bit, have them get some runs, maybe rebuild? We've talked about it even recently. Baron Corbin rebuilt himself tremendously down in NXT. Unfortunately, his recall up to the main roster did not last long. Big shame. Hope to see him back. That Rumble return is going to hit so hard one day. But I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of talent. I just love to see it.
we've mentioned plenty of times how bad we want to shake up first and foremost, but to
Hmm.
NXT not just be sending away their talent in the shakeup, but also be getting talent in the shakeup. Granted, it is the show where you have the most non-rostered wrestlers that can just show up and it's fine, considering their partnership with TNA, considering how much main roster talent occasionally goes down there. But I look at like Legato.
Hmm.
They, I mean, they may as well just not even be in the company right now. They've barely been on since dropping the tag titles, the AAA tag titles.
Hmm.
If they were down in NXT, the three of them, I mean, that's fantastic. You could easily have them feud with anybody. The matches are going to be fantastic. They could still, if they're needed on SmackDown, show up and have stories and have matches on SmackDown. Like, it's like names like that where why not let them cook a bit in NXT? You know, it's at this point, it's the same as them going to AAA or whatnot. But why not make NXT their home brand? Why not,
For sure.
why not make them be under the NXT umbrella? It's on its own network. Now it's the only one on Peacock. So
Hmm.
it could not be its own entity any more than it's ever been. It is a show that should be looked at. All right, it's not Raw, it's not SmackDown, but it isn't developmental. This is a
Hmm.
higher level than developmental. So hopefully this is kind of the start and we get some more of this. They kind of go in phases a little bit with this.
They do. Yep.
So hopefully this is, starting to lean towards more of it.
Yeah, especially with a crop of talent probably pretty soon to get called up. Obafemi can't be too far off. Trick Williams already mentioned, probably not too far off. A few of the women could get called up today. So they're going to need some more talent influx down there. And it is developmental talent in the system. Yes, Tavion Heights, he's still developing. He's a talent built by WWE. And they have some evolved talent that could get on that show and make names for themselves too. So they can fill that slot. But we've talked a bit too about just the NXT tag division, the men's tag division. And we just mentioned a couple teams that could fit down there pretty well in a division that needs help right now. Hank and Tank, nothing against them, but they were never really doing it for me like some former NXT tag teams. Dark State, see ya. Split them up. We've been pretty adamant on that one. Just really not doing it for me. You got to add some depth down there. LWO is a great reference. Legato, as you said, is a great reference. Otis and Tozawa, even again, there's just so much talent you can send back down there. I do think it's going to slow down even more, though, when the evolved talent really kind of starts to shine a bit more and they can really just start influxing evolved talent left and right, which is fine by me. Even the WWE ID talent, there's a lot of ways to get some more names in that roster, but they do find themselves, especially the men's division, needing a bit of help right now. So I'm not surprised to see DIY, to see Carmelo, to see all these names come down. The TNA names are still floating over. The women maybe don't need as much help, but it's never going to hurt to put Rhea, Tiffany, and Stephanie back on NXT TV. As you said, it's its own show now. It's got its own brand, its own network, its own identity. You might as well spice those shows up and bring in the ratings.
You know, there's a saying in football where
Go Steelers.
say go birds. They say, number can be two, it can be three. When you look at a team's roster and you say, if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. If you have three quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Because you need to have your solidified guy. NXT is like that brand where I watch it, anything can happen. It is
Yep.
the most anything can happen. Someone from TNA can show up, someone from AAA, someone from Evolve, an ID talent that's not even actually under contract, someone from Raw, someone from SmackDown, an ECW legend. It is like the most Wild West show, which I love about it. But then it goes into your core, your nucleus isn't as strong because of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have all these options, but that means you don't have a legit option
Yep.
because certain parts, your men's tag team division, your men's main title, picture. The North American title you can get away with. You can have the up and comers kind of go for it because it's your mid card title. Some aspects of the women's division recently, when a ton got plucked by the main roster, that to me is like NXT rules. I love that it's like the Wild West, but it still needs those core people more than just two or three in the main event scene, more than just two or
Mhm.
three in the tag team division that solidify the core. And then when you get the Wild West, it's like, oh, sweet. We've got all these crazy people to go with this strong nucleus.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the core of NXT right now,
The
it's
core.
Oba. The core, that's exactly what I was thinking when you said it. Oba, Trick, Ethan Page. The
Javon's
up
probably in there too.
the upcoming pillars, as I was about to get to, if you didn't cut me off rudely. Javon Evans, Jasper Troy, Miles Bourne, Tavion Heights. There's some great names that are in the mix there as well. Javon is a guy that by the time he's said and done, he's gonna have all the accolades realistically. So he's a slow burn type guy. They don't got to put the rocket on him type yet, quite yet. But those three again, Ethan Page, Oba, Trick, they get called up. Those other names that are the potential pillars of NXT still aren't quite in that slot right now, even to take that mantle yet. You got to give Javon even a little bit more time. Jasper Troy can be built. Miles and Tavion are maybe even a step behind those two guys. Takes a little time to build them up. The influx of talent, TNA, AAA, and all that can help those guys too, for sure. The main roster talent can help that for sure. Hell, I'd love to see Pagano and Psycho Clown get an NXT tag title run. Iguana get a North American title run. I don't expect those to be 6 month title runs or anything long. I expect them to almost be transitional title runs, but it's fun. You get a good moment. You show that anybody can win anywhere. These brands all matter. You got killer talent in AAA, just like you do NXT. I do think it makes sense for them to do title changes between all brands. I get it, but you still got to have your core in NXT.
I think of a name like Ricky Saints, where,
Forgot about Ricky Saints. Yep.
yeah, like him being in the mix when he first showed up, similar to Jordan Grace, I was like, this is cool, but it feels like it's got a short expiration date because he's going to be on the main roster before we know it.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Grace and Ricky Saints, I know, been there a different amount of times, but they both have been integrated to a point where it's like, okay, they feel actually a part of NXT. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like this is just a cup of coffee. It doesn't feel like when Drew came back and it was like, we know he ain't going to be here long. We know he's going to
Yeah.
win the title, drop it, and go back up. It starts to feel like they're a part of the roster. And that's kind of a part of my point where some of the people that you bring in, a Joe Hendry, for instance, when he inevitably gets signed, I would like Joe Hendry to be in NXT for a bit, to be like an actual NXT mainstay, an NXT guy, where I lose the thought of, yeah, he's just going to get called up at any moment. I
Mm-hmm.
want that feeling, all right, they're a part of this brand. This is their show. So there are some names like that that we're creeping towards feeling more involved and impactful because they're staying longer than we expected.
I agree. NXT, it's been on a good run, man. I feel like it gets a lot of unwarranted hate. I'm not quite sure why NXT gets the hate it gets, but pro wrestling gets hate left and right online on Twitter. So what are you going to do about it? But I mean, we got a couple minutes left, right? I'm not too sure on the time clock right now. I
Yeah, we're
haven't quite
about there,
checked, but
whatever.
anything else you want to get into?
I do need to check on my boy Richie. He's
Got to check on Richie.
he's he's
Richie Puffs.
Richie Puffs. Richie Puffs. Richie
Richie, that's
Puffs.
exactly what I was thinking when you first told me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Richie
Something,
Puffs
something
and Tommy.
chocolate.
Yeah. Peanut butter chocolate
Yeah,
flavor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Something like that. I mean, look, I could talk wrestling all day, but
Mm-hmm.
we've got SmackDown tomorrow.
Yep.
The wheel's gonna keep on spinning. It's gonna keep on going. Dude, I know we say it every show, but there really is just so much going on, and it's actually kind of nice. I would have expected the WrestlePalooza ESPN deal to be more, I don't know, not at the very beginning of football season,
Yeah, I
but it
agree.
is nice that it's like WWE doesn't give up.
Well, to that point, I do got to mention Raw's at 7 from here on. That's kind of
Even better.
nuts.
That's
That's insane. That's
yeah,
unheard of. They've never done that. You know, like that's actually pretty crazy for Monday Night Raw, but it counters Monday Night Football. We love that. I'm a big fan.
yeah.
It's just crazy. You know, I would have expected the same thing for kind of WrestlePalooza, been
I
at a
think too,
different time frame.
like this is kind of the when you get the positives and negatives of TKO, you think under Vince, his stubbornness, I understand. TKO is willing to bend a little bit more when they find something logical. And I think they have found like, hey, we can do solid numbers at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
So if we bump Raw to 7 and we're not completely clashing with Monday
Hmm.
Night Football, we might, we'll be all right and we can still put on a solid show and not just, what we used to get. Granted, Raw's had its stinkers recently, but they're being, they're being open to moving to, you know, being smart, I would say.
Hmm.
Sometimes when there's something big going on at the exact same time, you got to move your show and you'll get
Yeah,
more viewers.
that is true. Netflix changed the game for WWE. That is for sure, though. But we're trying to change the game for wrestling right here at C2. You got to subscribe. Stay tuned in with all of our videos, updates, news, who knows what's. WrestlePalooza. We'll be live. That's the plan. Come hang out with the crew. If you don't, you're a fucking coward.
Sickening. Puh.